I am seeking a divorce. Emma Sullivan Cooper halted, her coffee cup suspended midair, as she gazed at her husband from across the immaculate kitchen island. Could you repeat that, please? Dr. Michael Cooper adjusted his tie with a meticulous grace, each motion deliberate and measured, as was his nature. You understood me. I have reflected on this deeply. After 5 years of marriage, is that really all you can express? Emma's hand quivered slightly as she placed her cup on the table. After all that we've experienced together, that is precisely the reason. 3 years of effort, Emma. 3 years of letdowns. The morning sun pouring through the penthouse windows appeared to taunt the shadows of the moment. Emma reminisced about their initial encounter at the annual fundraiser of Seattle Grace Hospital, where the talented young neurosurgeon captivated her with his charisma and drive. We haven't even completed the fertility testing, she argued. Dr. Chun remarked, I don't require additional tests to understand what's clear. Michael glanced at his Rolex, a habit that Emma had come to despise. By the time he reached my age, my father had already welcomed 3 children into the world. His father possessed 4. Is that really what this is all about? The formidable Cooper medical lineage? Michael's jaw clenched. I am scheduled for a morning craniotomy. The documents are set to arrive at your office today. Your timing is flawless as ever, Dr. Cooper. Emma's voice was laced with irony. Performing surgery on a person's mind immediately after breaking your spouse's spirit. I'm being realistic. It's clear that this isn't functioning as it should. He seized his briefcase. The apartment is available to you until you discover another option. I will be residing at the Four Seasons. Michael. Emma's voice halted him at the threshold. Did you ever truly love me? Or was I merely a piece in your ideal life puzzle? He hesitated, fingers resting on the doorknob. Affection alone cannot bridge the gaps created by deep-seated differences. Essential disparities? Emma let out a harsh, humorless laugh. That's a rather detached way of expressing that I am unable to have children. Emma, you are a psychologist. It's clear that at times we must confront tough choices for the sake of our future health and happiness. It seems to me that you lack courage. She rose, her shoulders held high. One must mature before taking on the responsibility of raising children. Michael's expression grew stern. I have come to a conclusion. The attorneys will take care of all the details. Once he departed, Emma lingered in the kitchen of their upscale apartment, enveloped by the allure of their seemingly flawless existence. The photographs from the wedding, the appliances that complement each other perfectly, the schedule highlighted with upcoming fertility consultations. Everything they had created was falling apart, and it was all due to her body not meeting his expectations. Her phone vibrated with a sudden buzz. A message from her sister, Rachel. Lunch today, Emma replied, her fingers trembling as she typed. Indeed, everything has crumbled into chaos. He is departing. Rachel's reply came without delay. That arrogant fool. I'm on my way to confront you now. Emma surveyed the kitchen, the scene of her final breakfast as Mrs. Cooper. 5 years prior, she had been known as Emma Sullivan, an emerging talent in the field of child psychology. Self-reliant and resilient. At some point, she had become so consumed with the idea of being the ideal partner for the ideal physician that she lost sight of who she truly was. Once more, her phone vibrated with a notification. A message alert from Michael's attorney. She removed it without giving it a glance. No matter what lay ahead, she would confront it in her own way, not his. She approached the window, observing the rhythm of Seattle's morning traffic below her. Amidst the chaotic tangle of vehicles, Michael navigated his way to the hospital, most likely envisioning his next ideal existence with a partner capable of providing the heirs he yearns for. You're adrift, Dr. Cooper, she murmured to the glass. You seem to have lost your way. Seattle Grace Hospital hummed with its typical morning frenzy. Yet Michael Cooper paid no mind as he walked purposefully through the hallways. Nurses and residents moved aside for him, sensing the tempest in his demeanor. A young resident, Dr. Cooper, hurriedly jogged to close the gap. The imaging results from your craniotomy patient. Please have them come to my office. Michael interrupted him seamlessly, maintaining his pace. Upon arriving at his office, he closed the door behind him and paused for a moment, leaning against it. A line of framed photographs on his desk drew his attention. 3 generations of Cooper men adorned in their white coats. Richard Cooper, a trailblazer in the field of neurosurgery, was his grandfather in Seattle. His father, James Cooper, is the current head of the hospital board, and he, treading the course that had been charted since the beginning of his days. The sound of his phone pierced the silence. In the realm of enduring impact, that, Michael. James Cooper's voice held its familiar gravity of anticipation. Your mother mentioned that she spotted Emma at the grocery store yesterday. Once more, solitude surrounds me. Michael pressed his fingers against the bridge of his nose. This morning, I initiated the process of divorce. A lengthy silence ensued. I understand. You were correct. It's time we moved forward. Son, when I mentioned exploring different paths, I was referring to fertility treatments, not separation. What's the purpose? Michael sank into his chair. 3 years of effort. Silence. An heir is required for the Cooper line. Do you really believe that ending a 5-year marriage is the solution? You were the one who persistently inquired about grandchildren at every family gathering. Please don't place this responsibility on me, Michael. Escaping isn't the path of the Coopers. Michael's laughter carried a sharp edge. No, the Cooper approach embodies a relentless pursuit of excellence. Ideal professions, ideal families, flawless existence. Your voice reminds me of your sister Catherine. Catherine stepped out. Perhaps she possessed a greater intellect than any of us. His father's tone grew stern. Your sister left her medical residency behind to pursue a life as an artist in Paris. That's not precisely an example to emulate. A sudden knock at the door broke the silence. The resident returned, clutching the scan results. I have to go, Michael said, reflecting on the morning craniotomy. This conversation is far from over. Indeed, we are. I have reached my conclusion. Michael ended the call before his father had a chance to reply. The resident stepped in with care. Dr. Cooper, the scans for Mrs. Henderson. Michael concentrated on the visuals, setting aside any thoughts of Emma and his father. This was an aspect he could master. The meticulous choreography of blade and expertise. The precise contours of surgical mastery. Reserve the operating room, he commanded, and connect me with Dr. Chen's fertility clinic immediately. The inhabitant blinked in astonishment. Sir, this is not for a consultation. Please have her transfer all my test results to my personal file. I never returned for them. But don't you wish to discover what I desire? Michael remarked with a chill in his voice. My task is to fulfill my responsibilities. Reserve the operating room. Once the resident departed, Michael found himself gazing at his family photos once more. 3 generations of exceptional surgeons gazed at him, their expectations pressing down on him as if they were a tangible force. His phone vibrated with a message from Caroline West, the new PR director at the hospital. Is there a lunch meeting scheduled to discuss the fundraiser for the pediatric wing? He responded swiftly, unable to. Operation. Her reply arrived without delay. After dinner, it seemed you could benefit from a sympathetic listener. Michael paused for a moment, then consented. Anything was preferable to yet another night spent in solitude with his reflections. He took hold of his scrubs and made his way to the OR, a place where clarity reigned and achievements could be quantified in straightforward, tangible terms. No chaotic feelings. There are no expectations from family. There have been no unsuccessful endeavors in the pursuit of bringing life into existence. In that meticulously orchestrated realm of surgery, he remained the undeniable sovereign of his territory. Emma observed from her therapy office as 8-year-old Tyler meticulously constructed a castle using wooden blocks. Her notes rested neglected in her lap, while the echoes of that morning's clash with Michael continued to invade her thoughts. Occasionally, Tyler remarked as he meticulously steadied another block, when unfortunate events occur, it isn't necessarily our doing. Emma's gaze shot upward. What leads you to that conclusion? That's what you mentioned to me last week, Tyler said with a shrug. When I admitted it was my fault my parents got divorced, I could see the emotion welling up in her throat. You recalled. Your expression seems a bit down today, Dr. Emma. Tyler placed the last piece atop his towering creation. Similar to the way my mother appeared. Just as Emma was about to reply, her office phone buzzed to life. Dr. Sullivan, your sister Rachel has arrived. Thanks a lot. Tyler, will wrap things up in just 5 minutes. Sound good? Once she finished with Tyler and sent him back to his parents, Emma discovered Rachel pacing in her waiting room. I have reinforcements, Rachel declared, lifting a paper bag triumphantly. Those delightful chocolate croissants from your favorite French spot. They took their places in Emma's office, and Rachel unveiled the pastries. Reveal. All things. He didn't bother to wait for the test results. Emma delicately nibbled at her croissant. After 3 years of effort, he finally decided to throw in the towel. Has he ever undergone testing himself? Absolutely not. He declined, insisting that there was absolutely nothing amiss with him. Emma's laughter echoed emptily. The esteemed Dr. Cooper, continuing the rich legacy established by his father. Speaking of that particular group, has James reached out yet? There are 2 missed calls. I'm not prepared to confront the turmoil of the Cooper family. Rachel extended her arm over the desk and clasped Emma's hand firmly. Come live with me, only until you find your way. My patients are my priority. I cannot abandon them. Portland has affected children deeply as well. Rachel tightened her grip, and the memories of Michael Cooper began to fade. Emma's phone vibrated, signaling a message from Dr. Chen's office. The results of the test are now available for your examination. Are you interested in setting up a consultation? What's the purpose at this moment? Emma whispered under her breath, dismissing the notification. Perhaps understanding would provide some clarity, Rachel proposed. Regardless of the outcome. Assistance with what? Before breakfast, my husband left me. Understanding will not alter the situation. Absolutely not. However, Rachel's thoughts were abruptly cut short by yet another buzz emanating from Emma's phone. Michael, your signature is required by the lawyers. I'll be stopping by your office at 6. Emma responded with a message. Just skip it. I will ensure that everything is forwarded to your attorney. Rachel began. I must focus on my tasks. Emma organized her papers with precision. Today I have 3 additional patients to attend to. Promise you'll consider Portland. I assure you I will contemplate the idea of contemplating it. Once Rachel departed, Emma fixed her gaze on her schedule. 3 additional young souls navigating the complexities of trauma and loss. 3 additional opportunities to assist another in their healing journey, even as her own heart shattered. Once more, her office phone buzzed. Dr. Sullivan, your upcoming patient has arrived. Emma inhaled deeply, squared her shoulders, and set her pain aside. Her patients relied on Dr. Sullivan, the composed and thoughtful child psychologist. Emma Cooper, the woman facing the unraveling of her marriage, would have to bide her time. Send them in, she said, steeling herself to confront yet another child's suffering, all the while grappling with her own heartache. Clear, Michael announced, his hands unwavering as he maneuvered through the intricate neural tissue. Draw in here. The operating room. The room lay in quietude, punctuated only by the rhythmic beep of monitors and the gentle clink of instruments. This was his refuge, a place where only the challenge ahead and his capacity to confront it mattered. Dr. Cooper, his resident, murmured, the blood pressure is falling. I observate. He remained focused on the microscope, oblivious to the world around him. Administer 10 units of ephedrine. The entrance to the operating room. Unveiled. Is this Dr. Cooper? The soothing tone of a caregiver. Dr. Chun is on the first line. She claims it's urgent. I find myself amidst a craniotomy. Deliver a message. Hours later, after successfully completing the surgery, Michael was at the sink, scrubbing out, when the chief of surgery walked in. What a stunning save in there, Cooper. Dr. Patterson observed him as he cleaned meticulously. I heard about you and Emma. Would you like to discuss it? There's really nothing to discuss. Michael wiped his hands dry. Neat edges. The patient remains stable. That's not what I intended to convey. I understand your point. Michael pivoted to meet the gaze of his mentor. Today I have 3 additional surgeries scheduled. Could we bypass the personal details? Patterson lifted his hands in a gesture of capitulation. Keep in mind that divorce can impact surgical performance. Allow yourself the time you require. I do not. As Michael strolled through the hospital corridors, he overheard fragments of hushed conversations that fell silent in his presence. Information spread quickly within the walls of hospitals. Is this Dr. Cooper? Caroline West emerged from the elevator. Regarding that dinner. Not this evening, Caroline. It's essential to nourish yourself. She matched his pace as she walked alongside him. It's essential to discuss the campaign for the pediatric wing. The board meeting is scheduled for tomorrow. Michael came to a halt. All right, it is 8 o'clock. The recently opened spot on first. I will secure the reservations. She examined his features closely. You seem a bit worn out. I'm doing well. Deceiver. Her lips curved into a smile. It is 8 o'clock. Please don't leave me waiting. In his office, Michael discovered a pile of messages waiting for him. 3 inherited from his father. 2 from the office of Dr. Chun. A communication from his attorney. He brushed them aside and retrieved the file of his next patient. A knock echoed through the room, and there she was, Dr. Chun, making her entrance once more. Michael, we must have a conversation. I have a lot on my plate right now. The results of your test. Forward those to my attorney. He kept his gaze down. I have clients. This holds significant value. Indeed, brain surgery is a complex and intricate procedure. At last, their gazes locked. Our time together has come to a close, Sarah. Once she departed, Michael gazed at his computer screen, his mind elsewhere. The words melded into a haze as Emma's voice resonated within his mind. Did you ever truly love me? His phone vibrated with a sudden buzz. Caroline adjusted the reservation to 7. An early night is essential for you. He consented, appreciative of the diversion. Anything to escape returning to a vacant penthouse brimming with memories and lingering uncertainties. The remainder of his day unfolded in a haze of surgeries and consultations, each procedure offering a much-needed reprieve from the mundane world outside. Within the operating room, he remained Dr. Michael Cooper, a brilliant neurosurgeon. Outside, he appeared to be just another struggling member of the Cooper family, unable to meet the expectations set by his heritage. Dr. Sarah Chun sat at her desk, gazing intently at 2 manila envelopes. One is labeled as Cooper Michael and the other as Sullivan Cooper Emma. The revelation that might have transformed everything lies hidden within complex medical terminology and hormone measurements. Her phone vibrated softly. Emma, I am canceling my follow-up appointment. I appreciate all that you've done. Sarah reached for her office phone. Janet, please obtain Dr. Cooper's surgical schedule for me. He's in the operating room. From 3 to 4, followed by consecutive consultations until 7. And Mrs. Cooper. Is this Ms. Sullivan's office? The receptionist informs that she is currently not accepting calls from the hospital. Sarah tapped her fingers rhythmically on her desk. 5 years of caring for them, observing their battle. And now we have this. A gentle rap on her door. Father of Michael. James Cooper. Dr. Chin. He gently shut the door, sealing off the world outside. We need to talk about my son's situation. I understand that it's not possible for you. What about the confidentiality between a doctor and their patient? Absolutely. He took a seat without an invitation. As a member of the hospital board and his father, I have some worries. What is it about? He's discarding his marriage without considering all the details. Do you have his results? Sarah brushed her fingers against the envelope. I certainly do. So? I'm afraid that's not something I can talk about. James inclined his body, eager to engage. Sarah, our paths have crossed since your time in residency. The young lad is heading down the wrong path. He needs to receive that message from you. He refuses to hear. James rose to his feet. However, he could be receptive to medical evidence. Once he departed, Sarah took a moment to open Michael's envelope for the final time. The figures were unmistakable. Reduced sperm movement. Less than satisfactory count. Addressable with patience and appropriate measures. Emma's results indicated no notable concerns. The intercom emitted a sharp buzz. Dr. Cooper's operating room has just become available. He is on the path to healing. With determination, Sarah seized Michael's envelope and made her way to the surgical floor. She discovered him at the nurse's station, crafting post-op orders. Michael, please don't keep your distance from me. I am currently engaged in my work. Your father just visited my office. That captured his interest. What did you say to him? I'm not saying much, but you really have to check out these results. I must attend to my patient. Your spouse isn't the issue. Sarah propelled the envelope toward him with determination. O que existe? Michael gazed at the envelope as if it were a creature ready to strike. This is not a priority for me right now. Carve out some time. Your marriage is at risk due to misguided beliefs. You simply don't grasp it. No, you simply don't grasp it. Sarah's voice elevated. This can be addressed, Michael. Yet rather than confronting the issue, you're choosing to flee and placing the blame on Emma. The nurses feigned indifference as Michael at last grasped the envelope. Read it, Sarah said. Consider whether your pride is truly worth the cost of 2 lives. She turned and left, leaving him clutching the reality he had been too scared to confront. In her workspace, Emma's outcomes lay idle, a reflection on opportunities missed due to trepidation and arrogance. With a determined sigh, Sarah reached for her phone and dialed Emma's office once more. This time, she crafted a message. All of your results are within the normal range. Reach out to me when you're prepared to have a conversation. The legal document reached Emma's office right at 2 p.m., brought in by a courier dressed sharply in a crisp suit. Jenny, the receptionist, entered with an expression of regret. Would you like me to dispose of it? Emma forced a faint smile. Alluring, yet I must decline. She grasped the envelope. Please refrain from connecting any calls for the next hour. By herself, Emma gazed at the documents. The petition for the dissolution of marriage was prominently displayed in bold letters. Underneath, Michael's signature, the recognizable flourish of a surgeon's penmanship. Her phone glowed with a voicemail alert from Sarah Chin. Emma's finger lingered above the play button, hesitating before ultimately pulling back. No matter what the outcomes indicated, they held no significance any longer. A sudden knock broke the silence of her contemplation. Once more, it's Jenny. Dr. Sullivan. Tyler's mother has arrived ahead of schedule. She appears to be distressed. Bring her in. Lisa Parker stepped inside, her hands twisting nervously. I apologize for arriving without a prior appointment. What seems to be the issue? Is Tyler doing all right? He mentioned that you appeared a bit down today. Lisa took a seat. Subsequently, I learned from another parent regarding. I wanted to reach out and see how you're doing. Emma felt a constriction in her throat. I'm doing well. Absolutely not. Lisa inclined her body, eager and attentive. When Tom departed from my life, you were present. I would like to reciprocate the kindness. Thank you for that, however, yet there was nothing. We're heading out for coffee. At this moment, 20 minutes later, they found themselves in the quaint little cafe opposite Emma's office. Lisa swirled her latte thoughtfully, while Emma gazed into her still full cup. Have you informed your patients? Lisa inquired. Not at this moment. I must determine the best way to manage the transitions. So, you're heading out? Emma raised her gaze. I'm uncertain. My sister is urging me to relocate to Portland. Escaping won't solve anything. Lisa's voice carried a soft warmth. Believe me, I gave that a shot. It's not escaping if there's nothing to escape from. Emma took a moment to savor her coffee. Michael has decided. Are we proceeding without the test results in hand? That's quite chilly. That is Michael. Every detail must be flawless, encompassing even his wife's reproductive health. They lingered in quietude for a moment, observing the flow of life outside the window. Tyler occasionally inquires about his father. Lisa murmured softly. I share with him the honest reality that grown-ups can err, and at times, they may cause pain to those they cherish. Is that truly what this is? An error? Only Michael is aware of that. Lisa glanced at her watch. It's time for me to return to my tasks. However, Emma, do not allow his decisions to shape your identity. Once Lisa departed, Emma made her way back to her office, weaving through the bustling afternoon throngs. The divorce papers lay on her desk, ominous and poised, like a ticking bomb ready to explode. Once more, her phone vibrated with a notification. Yet another note from Sarah Chin. This time, Emma pressed delete with unwavering resolve. Certain truths are best kept in the shadows. She grasped her pen, her hand poised above the signature line. A single mark of ink to conclude 5 years of union. A single signature to reclaim the identity of Emma Sullivan once more. The pen met the paper, and Emma sensed a shift within her. A fracture mending and reshaping, more resilient yet transformed. Akin to a bone that heals after a break, she mused. Always evolving, yet sturdy enough to create a foundation. This isn't running away, Emma told Rachel as they drove north on I-5, the windshield wipers battling the relentless drizzle. It's a calculated withdrawal. Whatever brings you peace in the quiet hours. Rachel shifted lanes, although you haven't been engaging in that activity much recently. The U-Haul trailing behind held the remnants of Emma's existence. Garments, literature, medical records, and meticulously packaged photo albums she had yet to summon the courage to explore. Emma remarked that the practice was calling. They are thrilled to welcome me aboard next week. Absolutely, they certainly are. You are an exceptional child psychologist in Seattle. What was the best in Seattle? Rachel cast her a glance. You're catching my drift. As they drove by the Welcome to Portland sign, Emma's phone suddenly illuminated. Once more, it's Michael's attorney. She chose not to answer the call. Rachel inquired, still waiting for the papers to be signed. Nope. 3 weeks and still going strong. Shall I give him a call? I have a collection of carefully selected phrases ready to go. Allow the legal experts to take care of it. Emma observed the raindrops as they hurriedly competed down the glass pane. I simply wish for it to come to an end. They arrived at Emma's new apartment building nestled in the Pearl District. Contemporary, impersonal. A stark contrast to the opulent skyscraper she had once inhabited with Michael. Home sweet home, Rachel declared. The apartment, though compact, radiated warmth and light, featuring elegant hardwood floors and charming exposed brick walls. Emma's footsteps resonated in the vacant expanse. The furniture arrives tomorrow, Rachel said, placing a box on the floor. Feel free to stay over at my place tonight. No, I have an air mattress. It's time for me to begin the process of getting comfortable. I'm doing well. Is that so? Rachel appeared skeptical. Shall we have dinner later? The Thai restaurant I mentioned to you? Let's postpone that. I wish to organize my office belongings. I will have patience beginning on Monday. Once Rachel departed, Emma found herself perched on her air mattress, encircled by boxes marked with Jenny's meticulous handwriting. Stationery essentials. Records of patients. Individual. Her phone vibrated with a sudden buzz. Once more, it's Sarah Chin. Kindly give me a call. The outcomes hold significant value. Emma began to type away. Thank you, but I've relocated to Portland. Please send any medical records to... She removed it. Some bridges are best left in ashes. A message from Michael surfaced. The attorney mentioned that you have relocated. It's time for a conversation. Emma responded with a message. There's really nothing to discuss. Please proceed to sign the documents. She powered down her phone and lifted the lid of the box labeled office. Inside, cocooned in protective bubble wrap, lay her diploma. Dr. Emma Sullivan, Ph.D. Not Cooper. She never truly felt connected to Cooper, if she were to be honest. The rain intensified outside, a rhythmic tapping on her new windows. The rain in Portland, she mused, distinct from the rain in Seattle. New beginnings, cleansing downpour. She placed her diploma on the empty wall, the initial symbol of her fresh journey. By Monday, she would be stepping into a fresh office, welcoming new patients, and embracing a new routine. The former Emma could have faltered beneath the burden of beginning anew. Yet, Emma had passed away on the very morning her husband prioritized his legacy above their love. Emma had tasks to complete. The boardroom at Seattle Grace hushed as Michael concluded his presentation. 12 pairs of eyes scrutinized him, among them his father's discerning stare from the head of the table. Thus, Michael determined that the new surgical wing would allow us to enhance neurosurgical capacity by 40%. Dr. Patterson was the first to speak. Remarkable figures, Cooper. Yet, the timing. The moment is just right, Caroline West interjected seamlessly. Seattle Grace requires this expansion to maintain its competitive edge. Michael locked eyes with her, a silent expression of gratitude for the unwavering support she offered. 3 months of collaborating with her on this proposal had revealed to him the importance of an effective PR director. The expense is considerable, James Cooper remarked, rearranging the documents in front of him. The returns will be greater, Michael argued. With Dr. Patterson's retirement approaching next month, the new wing would position his successor for. Just then, his father interjected, emphasizing that the board must vote on the new chief of neurosurgery today. The atmosphere grew heavy. Everyone recognized Michael as the leading candidate, yet recent developments. Dr. Cooper's personal circumstances shouldn't influence, Caroline began. My personal situation doesn't matter, Michael interrupted decisively. My surgical history is a testament to my skills. James Cooper observed his son intently. Is that so? The rate of postoperative complications has increased by 12% over the past month. While this figure remains below the national average, it does not meet the standards set by Cooper. The words lingered in the atmosphere, heavy with consequence. Michael's jaw tightened in response. With unanimous support for Dr. Michael Cooper as the new chief of neurosurgery, Dr. Patterson initiated the voting process. Hands lifted in unison around the table. Michael tallied 8, 9, 10. The motion has been approved, Patterson declared. Well done, Dr. Cooper. The gathering concluded with warm handshakes and heartfelt congratulations. Caroline locked eyes with him and silently asked, "Dinner?" Last to approach was his father. Please ensure that this vote does not lead to regret. When have I ever let you down? Michael's voice oozed with irony. The documents for your divorce remain without a signature. That's a private matter. This hospital operates on a strictly professional basis. James held his son's shoulder firmly. Make the necessary corrections. Anything necessary. In the solitude of his office, Michael's gaze lingered on the divorce papers tucked away in his desk drawer. Emma's signature stood out boldly against the pristine white paper, while his line remained untouched and empty. His phone vibrated with a sudden buzz. Caroline, reveling at Canlis. 8 in the evening. He consented, seeking the diversion. The most youthful chief of neurosurgery in the annals of hospital history. It ought to resonate with a sense of victory. Instead, he sensed the burden of expectations bearing down more intensely than ever before. Cooper standards. The legacy of Cooper. Cooper excellence. Sarah Chen's test results lingered in another drawer, untouched and overlooked. Certain realities are best concealed beneath the weight of success and aspiration. Once more, his phone vibrated with a notification. Passage from Emma. Please sign the documents. Kindly. Michael gently shut the drawer. This evening was dedicated to honoring achievements, rather than fixating on setbacks. He had accomplished all his dreams, hadn't he? Emma found herself in Dr. Miranda Foster's office, her fingers nervously intertwining in her lap. The fertility specialist in Portland examined her file, her lips pressed together in contemplation. Dr. Foster remarked that your earlier results from Seattle appear promising. Have you thought about using an anonymous donor for insemination? That is the reason for my presence. Choosing to be a single mother. Dr. Foster raised his gaze. It's increasingly prevalent. For 3 years, I've allowed another person to dictate the narrative of my fertility journey. Emma squared her shoulders. I'm prepared to craft my own. Dr. Foster nodded. Let's explore the possibilities. After an hour had passed, Emma found herself in her car, tightly holding a folder filled with donor profiles. 3 missed calls from Rachel appeared on her phone. Where might you be? Rachel insisted as soon as Emma returned the call. It seems you overlooked lunch. Visit to the physician. Would you be able to come over this evening? Are you feeling unwell? I have something important to share with you. Rachel showed up with a bottle of wine and some delicious Thai cuisine. Emma accepted the food but declined the wine. All right, let's hear it, Rachel said, making herself comfortable on Emma's new couch. You're acting strange. Emma passed her the folder. Rachel's eyes grew large as she absorbed the words on the page. Are you kidding me? I'm finished relying on others to provide me with what I desire. But a little one, by oneself? Every day, Emma shares her insights with single parents. Powerful ones. Joyful moments. That stands out. What is the reason? Rachel placed the folder on the table. You're my little sister, and I can't help but feel concerned. I don't need to fret. I need encouragement. How is your practice going? You've only just begun your journey here. I have already spoken with the partners. They offer encouragement. Emma grasped her sister's hand. Rachel, I have never felt more certain about anything. Rachel remained silent for an extended period. Is Michael aware? Michael forfeited his right to any knowledge the moment he chose to leave. He still hasn't put pen to paper? Negative. But I refuse to wait any longer. Emma clasped her sister's hand tightly. I am prioritizing my own well-being, my aspirations, and my loved ones. Rachel enveloped her in a warm embrace. In that case, I stand by your side, completely committed. Later, in the solitude of her apartment, Emma revisited the donor profiles. Images and health records of individuals who could assist her in building the family she had always dreamed of. Her phone illuminated the darkness. The attorney representing Michael. A meeting has been requested by the client to go over the terms. Emma responded with a message. No topics to address. Documents in their current form. She glanced back at the profiles. To the realms of potential, the paths of decision, and the destinies she could shape. Tomorrow she would reach out to Dr. Foster. Tomorrow, she would embark on the journey toward her new life. This evening, she permitted herself to envision a family founded on affection instead of duty. A child cherished for their own essence, rather than the weight of a dynasty's aspirations. The rain in Portland drummed softly against her windows. A soft nudge that fresh growth requires nourishment to flourish. Are there twins? Emma held onto the ultrasound monitor tightly. Do you really think so? Dr. Foster gestured towards the screen. 2 pulses of life. Powerful ones. Emma reclined on the exam table, her gaze fixed on the 2 delicate flutters. After 6 months of effort, the IVF had finally succeeded. Exceeded expectations. Take your time, Dr. Foster remarked, quietly stepping out. Emma extended her trembling hands toward her phone. Is that you, Rachel? Are you able to converse? What seems to be the issue? Has it encountered another setback? Negative. Emma's voice trembled. It was successful. Double it. Rachel's piercing cry caused Emma to jerk the phone away from her ear. Are there twins? 2 of a kind. I will be arriving shortly. Stay right where you are. I remain at the clinic. Then I shall make my way there. Do not even think about walking away. Emma pressed her fingers against the display, where 2 lives flickered in shades of gray. Her offspring. Only hers. Rachel strode in 20 minutes later, her chef's apron still draped around her. Demonstrate it to me. Dr. Foster arrived back, carrying printouts and a pile of information. Prepared to discuss the details? The following hour unfolded in a whirlwind of medical jargon, advice, and cautions. Pregnancy with significant risks, increased oversight, potential for bed rest. Your practice has a commendable maternity leave policy, Dr. Foster inquired. Emma gave a slight nod. Half a year of compensation. I have already had a conversation with them. A network of assistants. She has me, Rachel declared with conviction. Later, at Emma's apartment, Rachel laid out the ultrasound photos on the coffee table. They resemble beans, she remarked. Flawless beans. Emma caressed the images. My precious beans. Have you considered names? Sophie and Lily. Emma had been aware for months, ever since that initial positive test. Those names would have brought her so much joy. Rachel's voice took on a gentle quality. She would be incredibly proud of you. Emma's phone vibrated with a sudden buzz. Once more, it's Michael's attorney. Last warning prior to legal action. She removed it without delving deeper. Allow them to bring it before the court. Today, her joy was untouchable. Rachel contemplated that the nursery requires a pair of everything now. It's great that you secured the 2-bedroom apartment. I'm fortunate to have a sister who channels her excitement into baking when she's feeling stressed. Emma gently caressed her smooth, flat abdomen. These little ones are going to require plenty of Aunt Rachel's delicious croissants. With excitement bubbling over, Rachel embraced her sister as they began to envision the perfect cake for the upcoming first birthday celebration. You will excel at this. That evening, Emma reclined in bed, her hands gently placed on her abdomen. Two of a kind, a family, blossoming within her very being. Her phone illuminated for a final moment. Michael, I heard you're still in Portland. It's time for a conversation. Emma switched off her phone. She had priorities that demanded her attention now. 2 pulses of life. 2 paths ahead. 2 reasons to appreciate his departure. Occasionally, the most disappointing conclusions pave the way for the most promising new starts. Caroline, the quarterly reports are needed. Michael halted abruptly. Caroline West stood in his office, clutching a well-known manila envelope. I came across this while sorting through materials for the board review. She raised Dr. Chen's envelope high. It remains unopened. That information is confidential. It slipped out of your old case files. She set it down on his desk. In addition to these, she let a pile of papers fall beside it. Denials of insurance claims for fertility treatments. Emma's mark on a multitude of requests. 3 years of recorded hardship. Those documents are of a private medical nature. Those are evidence that you chose to escape rather than confront reality. Caroline's voice cut through the air with precision. A leading figure in neurosurgery. Michael sank into his chair with a weighty sigh. You fail to grasp the situation. I comprehend a great deal. Yesterday, your father confronted me regarding the holdup in finalizing your divorce. He should keep his distance from my private affairs. Keep in mind, there's nothing personal in this hospital. Caroline imitated James Cooper's style. Your expressions. She sat delicately on the edge of his desk. Examine the findings, Michael. It holds no significance now. She has left, heading to Portland, where she is crafting a fresh existence apart from you. Caroline wrapped her fingers against the envelope. Isn't it worth considering whether you jeopardized your marriage in vain? Michael gazed intently at the envelope. 3 months of evasion. 3 months of immersing himself in his craft. Engaged in the planning of the new wing. There were sporadic dinners with Caroline, moments that lingered without progression. As they both understood, he wasn't prepared for anything more. What if? He cleared his throat, preparing to speak. What if it states, my interpretation of its meaning? Are you saying that you're the reason for not having children? Caroline's voice took on a gentle quality. Then you handle it. Similar to a physician. As the leading figure in neurosurgery, that's the expectation placed upon you. She made her way to the door. Take a moment to read it. Perhaps it's time to step out from the shadow of your father's legacy and begin crafting your own path. In solitude, Michael grasped the envelope. Within the confines of the page, figures and medical jargon leaped forth, demanding attention. Reduced movement. Less than satisfactory count. Addressable with appropriate measures. His phone vibrated with a sudden buzz. His father. A date has been scheduled for the divorce proceedings in court. Please make the necessary corrections. Michael's grip on the test results grew firmer. For all this time, he had placed the blame on Emma. For all this time, he had been mistaken. He extended his hand toward his phone, then came to a halt. What might he have to express? I regret the damage I caused to our marriage due to my unwillingness to confront my own shortcomings. A faint buzz emanated from the intercom. Dr. Cooper, The craniotomy scheduled for 3 o'clock is all set and ready to go. Michael adjusted his coat, carefully placing the results back into their envelope. Prioritize surgery. Truth will come in due time. Forever postponed. Michael gazed at his reflection in the surgical scrub room, recognizing his father's features mirrored in his own face. The identical resolute jaw. The identical unwavering stare. Dr. Cooper. A nurse peeked in. Your father is in your office and insists that it's urgent. I am getting ready for surgery. He stated, and I quote, inform him that it's regarding Emma Sullivan. Michael's hands paused beneath the surface of the water. What about her story? It's simply a matter of urgency. In his office, James Cooper gazed out the window, his hands resting together behind him. The Portland Children's Hospital reached out. Michael wiped his hands dry. What would motivate them to do that? She is being recruited, presenting her leadership in pediatric psychology. His father pivoted. Have you heard? She has published 3 papers since relocating there. I did not. While you've been concealing yourself with surgeries, she's been crafting a name for herself. James flung a journal onto the desk. The cover features Emma's name prominently. The board took note. Could you clarify what you mean? Portland is in the process of constructing a new trauma center. They are looking for her to lead the child psychology department. James took a seat. Seattle Grace was contemplating the same proposal. Michael grasped the journal with a sense of purpose. She would not return. Absolutely not, she wouldn't. James observed his son intently. You are transforming into my reflection, Michael. Isn't that what you were hoping for? I wished for your success, not your solitude. James rose to his feet. I once drove your mother away, nearly lost all that was truly significant. This stands apart. Could it be? James made his way to the door. Peruse her manuscript. Then gaze into the mirror and confess that you don't see my deepest flaws reflected in your eyes. Once his father departed, Michael began to peruse the journal. Emma's exploration of childhood resilience following parental abandonment. Stories of children reconstructing their lives following loss. The screen of his phone illuminated. Caroline, shall we have dinner this evening? He chose not to accept. After a long stretch of time, he finally found something of greater significance to delve into. Emma's words danced across the pages. Polished, yet infused with the familiarity and comfort of their initial encounters. When did he cease to perceive that warmth? When did he become so consumed by the idea of legacy that he lost sight of love? A faint buzz emanated from the intercom. Dr. Cooper. Oars poised in anticipation. Michael closed the journal with a thoughtful expression. Yet another operation, yet another getaway. Yet the echoes of his father's words lingered on. You are transforming into my essence. In the mirror of the scrub room, he perceived it distinctly now. The identical errors. The identical sense of pride. The identical solitude. Emma fine-tuned her presentation slides for the final time. The Seattle Medical Psychology Conference. Out of all the locations, this was the one she had to present at. Dr. Sullivan, a conference organizer, made contact. You'll be on in just 5 minutes. And Dr. Cooper is present in the audience. Emma paused, her fingers hovering above the keys of her laptop. Which Dr. Cooper are we referring to? Indeed, both of them, along with the new PR director. Flawless. Her whole past laid out in orderly lines, eager to hear her share stories of childhood trauma and the strength that emerged from it. Rachel tightened her grip on her arm. Would you like me to craft a diversion? I might activate the fire alarm. This is something I can manage. Emma adjusted her blazer, carefully steering clear of her now visible pregnancy bump. Half a year in, unavoidable to conceal, the opening commenced. Introducing our next speaker, Dr. Emma Sullivan, hailing from Portland Children's Hospital. Emma approached the podium, advancing to her initial slide with a click. She averted her gaze from the audience, immersing herself in her research. Kids triumphing over neglect. Families in the process of reconstruction. The power that emerges from beginning anew. Inquiries? The moderator inquired once she had completed her remarks. A recognizable voice echoed from the rear. Physician Sullivan, how do your discoveries relate to situations where parental abandonment arises due to health-related concerns? Michael. Naturally, he would pose that question. The reason for abandonment is of lesser importance than how one reacts to it, Emma replied calmly. Young ones exhibit an incredible ability to adjust when they receive the right guidance and a solid foundation. Across the vast expanse of the auditorium, their gazes intertwined. He appeared weary, more mature in a way. Caroline West sat beside him, taking notes. Following the session, Emma hurriedly collected her materials, though not with the urgency she intended. Is that you, Emma? She pivoted. Michael lingered in his surgical coat, an air of discomfort surrounding him. Well done on the research, he remarked with a certain formality. Thank you very much. She moved toward the door. Gaze upon. His eyes dropped to her stomach. Refrain. Emma stepped back. Your opinion on my life is no longer welcome. I reviewed the test results. Long overdue. Rachel emerged beside her. Is everything all right here? Fine. Emma gently brushed her sister's arm. We're leaving. As they walked away, she heard James Cooper's voice. Release her, my boy. Some mistakes can't be fixed. In the hotel lobby, Emma rested against the wall, her hands cradling her bump with care. You okay? Rachel inquired. Better than okay. Emma felt her baby's move. I find myself precisely in the right place. Her phone vibrated softly. Portland Children's Hospital. Concerning the offer for the position of department head. Emma beamed. Some endings were really beginnings in disguise. Michael sat alone in his office, still in his conference clothes, staring at Emma's research paper. The intercom buzzed. Dr. Cooper? Your father? Not at this moment. He suggests tuning into the hospital news channel. Something about Portland Children's Hospital. Michael switched on the television mounted on the wall. A press conference. Emma at a podium, announcing Portland's new trauma center. And with this facility, we'll be able to provide comprehensive psychological support to children and families in crisis, she was saying. The camera pulled back, revealing her pregnancy. Michael's coffee cup tumbled from his grasp, shattering into pieces on the floor. You didn't know. Caroline lingered in the threshold, her presence both commanding and contemplative. Twins, he uttered in a daze. She is expecting twins. IVF, I presume. Caroline stepped inside, gently shutting the door behind her. Given the timing, she accomplished it by herself. Absolutely not, Michael. That was your doing. You made it alone. He switched off the television, yet the picture lingered vividly in his thoughts. Emma, radiant and self-assured, crafting a fresh existence while he remained concealed in surgical suites. The board meeting tomorrow, Caroline said quietly. Portland's offering partnership in the trauma center. What is happening? Your father wanted Seattle Grace involved. Emma's program is groundbreaking. Michael laughed bitterly. So I'll be working with my ex-wife. If she agrees. It's her project. Caroline touched his shoulder. Perhaps the moment has come to confront all that you have been avoiding. Once she departed, Michael retrieved his phone. The divorce papers were still unsigned in his desk. He dialed Sarah Chen's number. Finally, she answered. I need to know everything. Concerning my situation. Treatment options. Why now? Because I destroyed something precious out of fear. He observed the replay of Emma's press conference in silence. I need to stop being a coward. Come to my office tomorrow. Sarah's voice softened. It's not too late to get help, Michael. For the fertility, maybe. He reached out to the TV screen, his fingers brushing against the image of Emma, her hand resting gently on her pregnant belly. However, for all other matters, take it one step at a time, Dr. Cooper. One step at a time. Caroline found Michael in the hospital chapel, still wearing yesterday's surgical scrubs. You missed the board meeting, she remarked, taking a seat next to him. How'd it go? The partnership with Portland has been approved. She handed him a coffee. Your father cast his vote in favor. Naturally, he did. Everything for the sake of the hospital's standing. In truth, Caroline paused for a moment. He declared that it was time for the Cooper men to cease allowing their pride to ruin their families. Michael gazed at his untouched coffee. I viewed her ultrasound images. What is happening? The organizer of the conference forgot her folder containing the medical presentation. It was intertwined with her slides. He retrieved his phone, presenting Caroline with the image. 2 sisters. Michael. She has chosen the names Sophie and Lily. His voice trembled. I noticed it inscribed in the margin. Caroline grasped the phone with care. You should inform her that you came across these. What is the reason behind this? Is that so she can dislike me even more? It's time to embrace honesty. Alongside her. With yourself. Caroline rose to her feet. I reached out to Dr. Chen. She is anticipating your arrival. I am undergoing surgeries. Absolutely not. Your schedule has been cleared. She lifted him up. No more fleeing. In Dr. Chen's office, Michael confronted the undeniable reality at last. Options for treatment. Rates of achievement. All the truths he had been too fearful to confront. It's achievable, Sarah determined, with dedication and effort. Just like all the other things I've steered clear of, Michael remarked. The phone vibrated softly. A note from Emma. Quarterly meetings are essential for the Portland partnership. My assistant will handle the coordination. With a keen eye for detail, Sarah observed. Remote. Secure, Michael amended. She is safeguarding her own well-being. From my perspective, he reflected on the ultrasound images. 2 small lives that might have woven themselves into his narrative, had he not been so entangled in the Cooper legacy. Commence the treatment, he instructed Sarah. Not suitable for Emma. Not for my dad. For my own sake. The rain in Seattle mirrored his somber feelings. Yet, after months of avoidance, he finally faced it head-on. At times, the harsh reality proved to be the most difficult remedy to accept. The conference room at Portland Children's Hospital seemed inadequate for the weight of the tension it held. Emma positioned herself at one end of the table. Michael on the opposite side. Department heads and board members occupied the area in between. The collaboration between Seattle Grace's neurosurgery department and our trauma center. The administrator's voice drifted into the background as Emma observed Michael diligently jotting down notes. He appeared transformed. More slender. There was more silver at his temples than she recalled. Is this Dr. Sullivan? What are your views on the methods used for psychological evaluations? Emma stood tall. Absolutely. Comprehensive evaluations will be essential for all surgical cases involving children. Physician. Cooper will personally manage the neurosurgical aspects. James Cooper declared from the threshold. Emma was completely unaware of his arrival. Emma stated with conviction, quarterly reviews. My department upholds its independence. Naturally, Michael expressed himself for the first time. The reputation of your program is self-evident. Following the meeting, Emma swiftly collected her papers. However, Michael intercepted her at the elevator. Emma, hold on. Refrain. I viewed the ultrasound images. During the conference, she stood still. That was confidential. I understand. I apologize. He took a step back. They are truly stunning. They don't belong to you. I'm aware of that as well. He swept his fingers through his hair. I am currently undergoing treatment. In the company of Dr. Chen. Emma pressed the elevator button once more. That's great to hear. I'm sharing this not with the intention of seeking a solution. I wanted to make sure you were aware. I am finally confronting my challenges. The elevator has finally made its entrance. Emma entered the scene. Sophie and Lily. He murmured gently. Excellent names. The doors shut abruptly, leaving him standing there, momentarily stunned. Emma rested her back against the wall. Her hands rested on her belly as the twins kicked with fervor. Her phone vibrated with a sudden buzz. Rachel. How did it turn out? Similar to an operation. Emma replied via text. Sharp edges. Little to no bleeding. At times, the most exact cuts resulted in the most profound wounds. The Boston Medical Conference thrived with energy and engagement. Michael refined his presentation notes. observing the crowd as they enter for his talk on advancements in pediatric neurosurgery. A recognizable laugh drew his focus. At the entrance, Emma assisted two little girls as they removed their coats. Two girls with lively, bouncy brown curls, and smiles that resonate in harmony. A man stepped into their midst, James Martinez, Emma's spouse. 2 years prior, Michael had come across their wedding announcement in the pages of the medical journal. "Are you prepared, Dr. Cooper?" The organizer of the conference gently placed a hand on his arm. Indeed, he averted his gaze from the unfolding drama by the door, confronting the display for his presentation. Subsequently, at the gathering, from his vantage point across the room, he observed as Emma graciously accepted an award for her contributions to childhood trauma therapy. The twins were seated alongside James, applauding with great enthusiasm for their mother. His phone vibrated with a sudden buzz. "Sarachin, the test results appear to be promising. The third round of treatment is demonstrating encouraging results." Beside him, Caroline tightened her grip on his hand. They began their relationship in earnest 6 months ago. After years, the bond of friendship transformed into something deeper. "Looking to head out ahead of schedule?" she inquired. "Negative." Michael observed Emma embrace her daughters. "This was something I had to witness. What is there to see? Some things shatter for a purpose." He offered a warm smile to Caroline. "Occasionally, the misguided route can guide you to the correct destination." From one side of the room to the other, Emma captured his attention. She gave a single nod, a straightforward recognition among peers. Nothing else. Nothing short of that sufficed. Michael grasped Caroline's hand tightly and pivoted towards the door. In his wake, the sound of the twins' laughter intertwined with the murmur of the crowd. A gentle nudge that existence continues to unfold, whether you agree or not. At times, the most fulfilling conclusions are not conclusions in the traditional sense, yet transformations. They found themselves precisely in the right place at the right time.